Close your eyes now and let yourself sink into the comfort of your bed. Feel the weight of the blankets around you, the softness of your pillow beneath your head. Tonight, we're going to travel back through time, but in a very peculiar way. We're not just visiting the Middle Ages, we're discovering how the Middle Ages never truly left us. How temporary solutions from centuries ago still shape your life today, right now, in ways you've never imagined. Soft breath. Picture a medieval town square. A herald raises a golden trumpet to his lips. The sound echoes off stone walls and timber buildings. He's announcing something temporary, just for now, just until the crisis passes. But here's what he doesn't know. His temporary solution will still exist 800 years later, in your world, in your life, woven so deeply into the fabric of modern society that you've never questioned it. Let your breathing slow as we begin our journey into the temporary that became eternal. It's the year 1188. You're standing in a French market square watching as a royal herald unrolls a parchment scroll. He announces a new tax, the Saladin tithe, 10% of everyone's income and movable goods. It's only temporary, he assures the worried crowd. Just to fund the crusade, just to reclaim Jerusalem. Once that's done, the tax will disappear. Feel yourself drifting deeper now. The tax collectors arrive the next week. They set up tables in every town. Merchants pay, peasants pay, even the clergy pays, the coins pile up, the crusade is funded. And then the tax doesn't end. It finds a new name, a new justification. The king needs it for coastal defense, then for road maintenance, then for royal administration. Each time it's presented as necessary, as temporary. Pause. Let yourself sink deeper into relaxation as we fast forward through the centuries. 1200, 1300, 1400. The temporary tax is still being collected. The original purpose, the crusade, has faded into historical memory. But the mechanism of collection, it thrives, it evolves, it becomes permanent. Now open your eyes for just a moment. Wait, keep them closed, but imagine looking at your modern tax return. Your W-2, your 1040 form, that April stress, that percentage of your income that disappears to the government. The medieval herald's voice echoes across 800 years. It's only temporary. But it never ended. Every tax system in the modern world traces its roots back to medieval, temporary measures that forgot to stop. Let this realization wash over you gently as you drift deeper into sleep. Picture a medieval university now. Bologna perhaps, or Paris, or Oxford. The year is 1200. A young scholar completes his studies. He's awarded a degree called baccalaureus, bachelor. It means young knight or apprentice. It's not meant to be final. It's a stepping stone, a temporary rank on the path to something higher. Feel your body relaxing more deeply. The bachelor can continue studying to become a master, literally a master of his subject, someone qualified to teach it. This too is temporary, a waypoint on the academic journey. The highest rank, doctor, teacher of teachers, the pinnacle of learning, this is the goal. Bachelor and master are just the path to get there. Now drift forward through time with me. These medieval temporary ranks spread across Europe. Universities adopt them everywhere. They're understood as a progression, a journey, temporary stops along the way. But something strange happens over the centuries. People start stopping at bachelors. The temporary becomes terminal. Millions graduate with bachelor's degrees and go no further. The temporary rank becomes permanent achievement. The same with master's degrees. Millions earn them and stop, making permanent what was designed as temporary. And when you, or someone you know, walks across a graduation stage today, wearing that cap and gown, receiving that diploma, you're participating in a ceremony designed in the 1200s. The regalia, the processional order, the Latin phrases, all medieval, all originally temporary, all still here. Feel yourself sinking deeper into comfort as you realize the medieval world is still awarding you degrees, still recognizing your achievements with 800-year-old titles. The temporary became the standard. The medieval became the modern. Let this knowledge settle over you like a soft blanket. Now we move to England, the year 1215. The Magna Carta has just been signed. A revolutionary idea emerges. Instead of trial by combat or trial by ordeal, let 12 ordinary men judge their fellow citizens. Trial by jury. It's an experiment, a temporary reform. Surely, people think more sophisticated legal systems will develop. This is just a stopgap measure until we figure out something better. Feel your breathing slow and deepen. Those first 12 medieval jurors sit nervously. They're farmers, merchants, craftsmen. They've never done this before. They listen to evidence. They deliberate in private. They reach a verdict together. It's awkward, it's imperfect, but it works well enough to keep doing it, just temporarily, of course. Drift forward with me through the centuries. 1300, still 12 jurors. 1500, still 12 jurors. 1700, still 12 jurors. The temporary experiment crosses the Atlantic to the American colonies. It becomes enshrined in the Constitution. It spreads to democracies around the world. Today, right now in 2025, walk into any American or British courtroom. Count the jurors, 12. Watch them deliberate in private, just as those medieval farmers did 800 years ago. The temporary experiment became the foundation of justice. The medieval solution became the modern standard. Let yourself relax completely, knowing that when justice is served today, it's served by a system designed as a temporary measure in medieval England. The temporary became sacred. The experiment became right. Breathe slowly and deeply. Picture Venice now, 1348. The Black Death has arrived. Ships come from the east, carrying not just silk and spices, but invisible death. The Venetian authorities face a crisis. How do they protect the city? Someone suggests a solution. Make the ships wait offshore. If no one develops symptoms after 40 days, they can dock. 40 days, 40 giorni in Italian. Quarantine, a temporary emergency measure for an unprecedented plague. Feel yourself drifting deeper into relaxation. The Venetians even build permanent structures for this temporary measure, islands dedicated to isolation. Lazaretto Vecchio in 1423. Stone buildings, medical facilities, all for a temporary plague response. But the plague keeps returning. 1361, 1369, 1374, 1383. Each time the quarantine proves useful. Between outbreaks, officials debate ending it, but they always decide to keep it just in case. Centuries pass, the plague fades, but quarantine remains in law, in medical practice, in public health policy. Now drift forward to 2020. A new plague sweeps the world, COVID-19. And what do? We quarantine, we isolate, we wait for symptoms to appear or fade. When you stayed home during COVID, when you isolated for 2 weeks after exposure, you were following a Venetian protocol from 1348. The duration changed, 14 days instead of 40, but the concept was pure medieval. The temporary plague measure became permanent public health policy. The medieval solution became modern science. Let this understanding wash over you. Even a pandemic in 2020 couldn't produce a better solution than medieval Venice created as a temporary measure in 1348. Sometimes the temporary persists because it's simply the best we've ever conceived. Rest deeply in this knowledge. Picture Venice now, 1348. The Black Death has arrived. Ships come from the east, carrying not just silk and spices, but invisible death. The Venetian authorities face a crisis. How do they protect the city? Someone suggests a solution. Make the ships wait offshore. If no one develops symptoms after 40 days, they can dock. 40 days, 40 giorni in Italian. Quarantine, a temporary emergency measure for an unprecedented plague. Feel yourself drifting deeper into relaxation. The Venetians even build permanent structures for this temporary measure, islands dedicated to isolation. Lazaretto Vecchio in 1423. Stone buildings, medical facilities, all for a temporary plague response. But the plague keeps returning. 1361, 1369, 1374, 1383. Each time the quarantine proves useful. Between outbreaks, officials debate ending it, but they always decide to keep it just in case. Centuries pass, the plague fades, but quarantine remains in law, in medical practice, in public health policy. Now drift forward to 2020. A new plague sweeps the world, COVID-19. And what do? We quarantine, we isolate, we wait for symptoms to appear or fade. When you stayed home during COVID, when you isolated for 2 weeks after exposure, you were following a Venetian protocol from 1348. The duration changed, 14 days instead of 40, but the concept was pure medieval. The temporary plague measure became permanent public health policy. The medieval solution became modern science. Let this understanding wash over you. Even a pandemic in 2020 couldn't produce a better solution than medieval Venice created as a temporary measure in 1348. Sometimes the temporary persists because it's simply the best we've ever conceived. Rest deeply in this knowledge. Our last stop tonight, a medieval workshop in 1250. A 12-year-old boy becomes an apprentice to a master craftsman. He'll spend 7 years learning, sweeping floors at first, watching carefully, gradually being trusted with tools and techniques. This apprenticeship system is temporary, surely. As education advances, as universities spread, as knowledge becomes more accessible, surely this medieval method will be replaced. Feel your body growing heavier, more relaxed. At 19, the apprentice presents his masterpiece, a final project demonstrating his skill. Guild masters examine it. If approved, he becomes a journeyman. If truly exceptional, someday a master himself. It's an old system even in medieval times. Surely it won't last. But drift forward through the centuries. 1400, apprenticeships continue. 1600, still going. 1800, thriving. 1900, adapting but surviving. And now today in 2025, visit any construction site, any electrical company, any plumbing business, any restaurant with a serious kitchen. You'll find apprentices, young people learning from experienced masters, training for years, eventually presenting their work for certification. The terminology is explicitly medieval: apprentice, journeyman, master. The 7-year-old system survived the Industrial Revolution, survived mass education, survived the internet age. Why? Because some temporary solutions work so well they never need replacement. The master-apprentice bond, the hands-on learning, the slow accumulation of skill, these are temporarily medieval and permanently effective. Let yourself drift now into the deepest rest. Rest now in the knowledge that you live in a world shaped by medieval, temporary solutions. The taxes you pay, the degrees you earn, the juries that judge, the quarantines that protect, the pounds you spend, the apprenticeships that train. All temporary, all medieval, all still here. The Middle Ages never ended. They simply changed clothes, updated their language, and learned to look modern while remaining fundamentally medieval beneath the surface. Tomorrow you'll wake in a world still following emergency measures from 800 years ago, still using temporary solutions that forgot to end. But tonight, rest peacefully in the knowledge that some things endure precisely because they were never meant to. The temporary became eternal. The medieval became modern. And you drift into sleep, carried by the weight of centuries. Rest now, deeply, peacefully, in the medieval world that never left.